Hello, and welcome to the Rhode Island Small Business Coalition's Small Business Forum. I'm your host, David Dadekian with Eat Drink RI, and we're very glad to be back here with you. We've got some great guests coming up on the program, and we always appreciate, if you're watching this on YouTube, the like and the subscribe and all that sort of thing. And then we'll also appreciate you sharing, sending comments, anything like that. We really want to be interactive. The whole point of the business forum is to support small businesses, not just here in Rhode Island. We talk about a lot of topics that cover a lot of things, but obviously we have a Rhode Island focus, being the Rhode Island Small Business Coalition. But you can watch this anywhere, so please share. And welcome our guest today, Dwayne Keys. Be great to have Dwayne with us. Dwayne runs D-Key Solution. That's his small business. And does a lot of other things. He sent me a list of things. I've got his bio here. But why don't we let you jump in, Dwayne, and introduce yourself and tell us a bit about you.
Hello, thank you so very much, David. And it's a pleasure to just be with you all here to talk about my own journey. Yes, my name is Dwayne Keys. I am the managing director of my sole proprietorship business venture, D-Key Solution. I have been doing this venture actively for the last 2 years while also still working full time. I've worked in financial services for over 20 years. The last 8 have been for a nonprofit called Compass Working Capital, in which we run asset building programs that provide financial coaching to families with low incomes as a means of getting out of poverty. And while I've been doing that work, that has influenced me in terms of going further with various topics in areas in terms of community and economic development. So I have a lot of passion for when it comes to small businesses, zoning, housing, planning, economic development overall. And then all these talents that I have in terms of meeting facilitation, change management, project management, just all the things I've done in various outlets, particularly for a volunteer basis, I've wrapped up in a business model. So in this experience, I now can say that I know what it's like in terms of like, what are the experiences and things that you have to go through when you're ready to start your business full-time, actively or regularly. And what does that mean in terms of like financing, funding, business, customer bases, all the things that happen, costs, revenue. So there's been a very major a journey that I have had just with my own business, also juggling with time. And I am just, excited in terms of just sharing what I've seen, what I'm learning, and then what I'm doing within DQ Solution to support other small businesses.
That sounds fantastic. That's really what we're all about, is supporting the small businesses, and so that's really great to hear. I look at this list here. I see designed by RI, the City of Providence, groups that you've worked with. Tell us a bit about what you've done for some of these organizations and how you can work with other small businesses.
Yeah, so Designed by RI, they have what they call catalyst and launch programs, which is supporting artists and creatives who are in the process or have launched their own small business. And so from a design, from an artistic, creative standpoint, what are the things they need to do in terms of being prepared? So they go through a training program on various topics such as branding, marketing, legal aspects. I cover both the finance, like foundational finance aspects, as well as business development. So I'm talking in terms of like explaining general terms of, when it comes to finance, your budget, your, tracking your expenses, what is your revenue pipeline, but then also talking through like what are some things that you need to do when it comes to planning and forecasting for growth or for riding out storms. We also cover things such as other key practices, like how much should you be charging for your product or your services? Like, what does that look like? In factoring in other particular unexpected costs. What does it mean to have an operating reserve? Like what does it mean to have a savings account for your business for emergencies? Or if you want to hire, if you want to have in this particular project, what does it mean to plan for retirement? So I do talk about retirement for self-employed people. Like that is a factor. So we cover a lot of things that are happening, both just like the business and then also you as an individual. What does that mean for you as a self-employed small business owner as well? I've been doing that for the last 2 years. So I do with the catalyst, that those topics, and then with their launch, which is their more for folks who are just like starting out, I talk about visioning your business. So what does it mean in terms of what is it that you want to do? How do you want to accomplish it? What is your plan for yourself? as an individual owner. So I do those workshops as well. I've been doing them again for the last 2 years. I have enjoyed just the experience of being on Design by RI. I've also recently joined their finance committee for their board just to give that insight and knowledge. But it has been definitely beneficial to see designers, creatives, artists who come from the community being able to benefit in this way from my knowledge and experience, while at the same time, I'm getting compensated for that knowledge and experience in that way and growing DK solution in that aspect. So that's been the most rewarding that I've seen with really helping small business owners. And then with the City of Providence, the Providence Redevelopment Agency, there is the plot of land, which is where the former Urban League of Rhode Island, well, the Urban League of Rhode Island used to be based. And so given my skills in terms of community engagement, meeting facilitation, things that I did when I was chairperson of the South Providence Neighborhood Association, when it came time for the PRA to launch and host their phase 1 community engagement process, the question was, who can we get to really help us with facilitating and working with the community, given the heightened alert, the issues that people have seen with the site, just the gaps in terms of having a connection with the community. And so the recommendation was you hire Dwayne as a community facilitator. So that was a project that I've done again under DK Solution, applying those professional skills, but obviously a project near and dear to my heart.
Well, I was going to say that's a nice compliment. And when do you sleep? Sorry, there's not in the day. And I think that's the nature of all small businesses, right? When I don't, I'm doing things at 11 p.m. I'm doing things at 5 in the morning. I mean, we all do that when we own a small business. But it's funny when you're helping other small businesses, it seems to be more amplified.
It took me a while also when you think about your business plan and your vision. I had to be very clear about what is it that I want to do. And that's evolved over time. And so learning to say no has been something that I have had to really take in. So I'm very clear, like there's certain topics and areas, not that it's not important, it's just not for me. It's just not where I need to be at. But I was like, what are some things that not as easier, but it's like, it's not going to be heavy lifting with me in my knowledge and my understanding that I really can go in and support. And do I have to always be the lead in something? Or is it that I'm just merely contributing, just some expertise and some information? So in some cases, yes, I am doing heavy lifting. I'm like making sure we're putting stuff together. In other cases, it's really just, here's my knowledge, my expertise, my recommendation, which can be much more flexible within the time. And so, yes, I am another thing is just really in advance planning. I tell people I'm already planning stuff out through 2027, 2028. You have to have that long-term vision in cases to be like, I'm going to do this now. And there's some things I'm like, I'm going to put it off until another time to accomplish. So I still do self-care. I still do balance up my time. I still have at least one day a week. I don't do nothing else. I know that took a lot of discipline to say it's not always the same day in the week, but it's also one day a week where I'm like, I'm not talking, not doing anything. It's really for me. And so I've been able to have that healthy balance.
Oh, good for you. That's very important. So that's nice for you to share that with everyone, because I think that's something that we don't often talk about, but you do need that balance. Absolutely. Thank you. So let's talk about you've got this. I thought this was just a great one to bring up, the Forgivable Microloan Pilot Program for Entrepreneurs with the Mount Hope Community Center. It sounds fantastic. Tell me all about it. I don't know anything about it, and it sounds like a great concept, because I think there's always that small amount of money that you just can't get in other ways sometimes for small businesses. It depends on the small business, obviously, but tell us about this program.
Yeah, so the Mount Hope Community Center, under the leadership of Helen Baskerville Dukes, they've been trying to find other ways to support economic development initiatives, particularly small business entrepreneurs. In this particular area, when it comes to entrepreneurs of color, there's obviously more, disadvantages or gaps in terms of being able to have access to resources, information. When anyone's familiar with the racial wealth gap, having your own capital to start something can be a challenge. And then there's also, how do you navigate through these systems? How do you know which resources need to be out there? And then more importantly, sometimes it's just, I need someone who I can bounce off ideas from on what I'm thinking, what I wanted to do. I had done a podcast with Helen last summer, and we were just talking about economic issues in Rhode Island to be prepared for. And when we were, after the podcast was done, she was just talking about how they got approved for funding to launch this forgivable, this microloan pilot that they wanted to be forgivable. And I sort of jokingly said, "Oh, do you need a project manager?" She said, "Oh, yes, we do." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, really?"
Always how it starts.
Okay. And so this has been something that I've been talking about. How do we get capital out to people? So with Social Enterprise Greenhouse, I was the chair of the capital committee, loans and micro grants. I'm on the board for Credit Builders Alliance when they talk about how do you use credit as a means of building assets. I'm on the Providence Revolving Fund, which was also distributing loans for businesses during the pandemic for equipment for things. In the Economic Progress Institute, I'm the board chair, and there was a research paper that was put out last summer on the state of small and micro businesses in Rhode Island, and I had contributed to that. So I looked at this as like, here's the opportunity I've been talking about. Like, how do we get capital out to people? Not give all these stringent requirements and things that they have to go through, all these hoops. And then particularly for those micro businesses, those have less than 5 employees, so proprietors like myself, maybe they've been in business for a while. Maybe they're at a point where they're just about ready. They want to launch, but they don't know how to start. Like, what can we do? Yeah. And so Mount Hope was like, we want to just have this capital ranging between either as low as 500, 3,000 with some flexible terms, no interest if you meet those requirements. But if you do the things such as open up a business account, register your business, have a spending plan, start spending the money within a certain time frame, and then complete a workshop and meet with me as the coach once, at least minimum once a year during the term of the loan, well, then it's forgiven. You don't have to worry about paying it back. So we're like, that's a concept when we're talking about how to address things such as closing the racial and gender wealth gaps. For that amount of time that they have to worry about paying that money back, that's what they can do. They can use the operating reserves. They can use that money for retirement or to expand or to hire to do something else. And then this is the bit of seed money that can just really get them over that initial hump, that they're not having to jump through hoops with traditional lending and all these other aspects of, what does your personal credit mean when it comes to like getting business financing. It was also great to say that here's someone who's like you, an entrepreneur, business advisor. So it's not like I'm in as I was before, like the banker or the lender. I'm like, no, I'm right here with you. I know exactly what you're going through. I'm going through it myself, so I can speak to that. But then applying my coaching skills in a way in which, let's talk about your goals, your hopes, your dreams, and how can I support you using my very client-centered approach of not dictating to you what you have to do, but wait a minute, what is it you want to do? And then let's support you in a plan to get you there.
That's an excellent program. Wow, that sounds really wonderful. Thank you for being a part of that. And yeah, let's get that word out there. How do people find out about this?
So it is a pilot because we're testing to see how this works. There's going to be some learning. So in the near coming weeks and months, Mount Hope Community Center is going to be releasing more information out to folks. So we want to be able, and goes into my skill set of program management, of like collecting data. What are some findings? What are the things that we found out of this pilot that we need to make sure that, going forward when it comes to policy or additional resources we want to have in place? What do we do very well in Rhode Island, in Providence particularly, and then what are those gaps that we need to make sure there's additional support? So out of that, that's going to be those learnings, and we're hoping that's going to influence how we support small businesses, particularly micro businesses in the future. So more to come on that. But yes, Mount Hope Community Center is the one that we're having this pilot, and that's the initial source and start.
All right. Well, I'll put all these links in the show notes, after when we post this. And so I'll have that Mount Hope Community Center, and then I'll put in SEG and Credit Builders Alliance and Providence Revolving Fund and Economic Progress Institute as well, since you're on those boards. It's near to my heart too. I'm on several boards. I think it's important to be part of the community and to share your time as best as possible with nonprofits that you can help. To talk a little bit more about the Economic Progress Institute, because I know you're the chair of that board, and I think that's a great organization.
Yeah, I mean, that works. I knew it when it was the Poverty Institute when it first started. So that's just how long my awareness and involvement has been. the work that I do, my full-time job, because again, as you said, I do Key Solution, but yet I work full-time for Compass Working Capital. I started out as a coach. I'm now a director of programs for our multifamily partnership. So I oversee a team of 13 people, myself included, direct reports and indirect reports. But that work in terms of really supporting families with low incomes with the goal, my personal goal of getting them out of poverty has been near and dear to my heart. So I am, as a practitioner, working one-on-one with families on what are the things they need to do while they're saving this program that they can overcome hurdles of the benefits cliff, lack of transportation. How do I get the training and support to be able to increase my earned income with the goal of that I'm not relying on public benefits and becoming self-sufficient? Using housing as a platform of getting out of poverty. When you think of the asset building program that Compass specializes in, HUD's Family Self-Sufficiency Program. So that's that area. And then to have Economic Progress Institute, or EPI, be a channel for policy change, that was near and dear to my heart as well. So I would attend activities, meetings, just being a part of it. And then lo and behold, someone who was cycling off the board identified me as someone who could join the board with a knowledge in terms of housing and tenant rights and just the stuff I was doing. So I joined in 2021, and then about a year and a half ago, I was elected board chair. So hence, I'm able to find ways to do it. Again, navigating with, this is something that's near and dear to my heart. How do we make sure that all Rhode Islanders have economic opportunity and be able to have security that is what's needed and best for us? So that's one which, like I said, I still support. I'm just, I love the work that our executive director, Wayona Nelson Davis, is leading. And so, tax the rich. I know we all want some money. I want some money too. At the same time, we need to close this budget. We need to find a means in which we can support those who have less to be able to gain more like we have. And then hopefully by us all being able to achieve and be successful, we have a balanced budget, and those folks can be those who sustain us financially as a state.
Yeah, it's a balance. It's a balance that needs to be had, and obviously we don't want to see regulation and tax on small businesses, but individuals with great wealth, and many do. I don't want to say they don't share and don't be part of the community, but it's a difficult combination to put together. So we got to find those balances. She is phenomenal. She's executive director. Is that her title?
Executive director.
Yeah, I've seen her speak on behalf of food insecurity, obviously as part of my world of food, and it's extremely important. Something we could all work towards. And I think that's the thing. I brought that up, and the boards, and what the boards that I work with, because I think that's the other thing that small business owners do very well, is they do slot into boards very well, and we do. Because we have so many hats, we are able to bring value to different boards and different things. I know Jen, who produces this program with me, she's on the governor's workforce board. She helps out at the school her son was at, or is at still. So there's lots of things that we do as small business owners to really get ourselves into the community, and I think it's important to hear those perspectives from other small business owners as well. So thank you very much for that.
My pleasure.
So is there anything else you want to touch on while we're talking today? We try to keep these programs relatively concise so that people listen to them all, and hopefully you're out there listening on your whatever podcast platform you like, or on YouTube.
I mean, honestly, yes, there are, I would say keep on a lookout for me, as I continue to move forward and grow Key Solution, the projects, the consulting, my future plans. Also, I'm taking it more further in policy arena. So I do have plans and aspirations to run for city council, Providence City Council races in the upcoming election, 2026, Ward 11, as a Democrat. So I've been given my heavily involvement in that arena. I have definitely had a soft launch a soft launch a few months ago. The incumbent Councilwoman Mary Kay Harris has endorsed me to become the next councilperson for Ward 11. So I'm excited for that next endeavor. My top area of focus is going to be economic security. So again, just like I want to make sure we all can not just survive, but thrive here in Providence, particularly in those neighborhoods of South Side and West End. I want to now take these expertise of working in financial services, working with, anti-poverty, economic mobility work, and apply it more locally in those strategies and policies and local laws and ordinances, and see how do we help move the lives of all of our residents in a greater and more prosperous direction.
Fantastic. Good for you. I think it's important. I've run for office. It's a lot of work, especially I wasn't in a bigger city like Providence, but Ward 11, council person for Ward 11 in Providence. If you're watching, because these things live online forever. So if you're watching this before November 2026, remember to check out Dwayne Keys for council person Ward 11. I'm sure there'll be a lot more information online as we get closer to that date. Or if you're watching this after November 2026, hopefully he's your council person.
Yes. That's the goal.
Yeah, good for you, Dwayne. That's fantastic. Anything else you want to talk about today before we sign off?
No, I think it was just good to really show that there's a lot that when it comes to micro businesses, they really do need a lot of support. And I don't, disregard the workshops and finance and education. Things need to be, but at the end of the day, they just need the cash and the money. And I'm just like, what do we need to do to get the cash and the money out to these folks for them to do what they got to do, with us being able to support them? Let's change the directive from a top-down approach to the bottom up, or like, wait a minute, what do they say they want? And then how do we make sure we put those things in place for what they say they need, not what we think that they need?
Fantastic. Thank you very much for your viewpoint. That's really, really great to hear. Thank you again for spending your time with us today, Dwayne. We appreciate it. This is Dwayne Keys from D-Key Solution. Like I said, I'll be linking things up in the show notes and everything down there. So take a look there and have yourself a good day, Dwayne. Thank you. Take care.
Great. Thank you all. Take care.
So that's another great episode. I hope you enjoyed that. As I mentioned, if you're watching this on YouTube, like, subscribe, comment, all that. If you're watching this or listening to this on your favorite podcast channel, give it a thumbs up or a 5-star, whatever rating system they have. And as always, we'll be back with more episodes with some great groups that support small businesses in Rhode Island, some great small business owners in Rhode Island, and we really appreciate you watching. So check out risbc.org. That'll be down there linked in the show notes as well. But that's our website, the Rhode Island Small Business Coalition. I'm David Dadekian. Thank you very much. Take care.